Ajay Banga, President of the World Bank. I've known you a little while, and ever since I've worked with you, there's been volatility in the world, and we've had crisis after crisis. Right now, we find ourselves with a war in the Middle East with Iran, and we know that that's having an impact on that region, but obviously it will not stay in that region. How is the World Bank responding to this?
You're absolutely correct. It is in the region, of course. So a country like Iraq is very different from countries like Saudi in the sense Iraq has oil production, but no oil storage. So in their case, they're actually having to shut down oil fields, and 85% of their revenue came from oil. So you lose that source in an already tight fiscal and challenged country. But this thing is spreading into Asia and Africa in different ways, mostly through the price and the availability of not just oil and gas, but also downstream chemicals and helium and fertilizer and sulfur. So in sub-Saharan Africa, this is their planting season. Now, they don't have fertilizer. You can imagine that 6 months from today, what that may do to people with food insecurity in that part of the world. And so when you get to the Pacific Islands, you can imagine the concept there. So this is kind of a spreading challenge. And what we are trying to do is recognizing the difference among countries of the type we just discussed. Don't try and do one size fits all, but have the right kind of capability in the bank to help them. So we have three things in our hand, three phases. And the first one is a crisis response toolkit that actually our shareholders had approved a couple of years ago. Now it's coming in use because 10% of any unutilized but approved projects of any type can be diverted in 24 hours for use by a country without coming back to the bank for approval. If you put that together with some new projects going through, that's about $20 to $25 billion that could be accessed by our client base in 24 hours if they needed it. The second is that this continues for 6 months, which there's every reason to expect that supply disruptions will continue, even if peace and the strait opens up and the like, but it'll take time to get things back to normal. Then we can do repurposing, new projects and the like. That could get us to 50, 60 billion from the 2025 I talked about. Keeps going further, then we've got to start dipping into headroom in our balance sheet, front-loading things like ADA, which you were very generous with as a stakeholder, and bring that to work for the poorer countries. That could get us to 80 to 100 billion. So think of it as not wanting to use all that, but keeping it ready for these countries, tailor-made to their situation, with one piece of advice to them: try and use it in a way that is temporary and targeted, so you don't end up causing yourself more trouble long-term with fiscal challenges in your budget system. And that's kind of the mix of things that we're discussing.
And are these things that were learned through previous crises? So coming out of COVID, there was a lot of assessment about what worked, what wasn't good enough, what could be better next time.
Indeed.
It sounds like the bank has done a lot of work on making sure that we're better prepared.
Indeed, with speed and size. So at COVID, it took us a little time to respond in the beginning, and there was a lot of requests from everyone saying, could you please get this done quicker? Now we're right here. Second, we put about 70 billion to work during the COVID response. And you can see I'm trying to prepare a war chest of similar size, maybe a little bigger, because I don't yet know the duration of this issue, nor do we know, as one of you raised today in meetings, that what is the level of impact on energy infrastructure should the conflict restart. We know what it is today, but you don't know if it restarts, what happens.
No, that is true. So as you say, we've backed IDA in a big way from the UK. We've cut our aid spending, but what we have, we need to spend incredibly well. We backed IDA. Tell me why that was the right decision.
Well, first of all, thank you for doing it. Because in a time when everybody talked about the challenges of geopolitics and multilateralism, we actually, as IDA 21, were able to raise a record amount of 24 billion. It would not have come without the generosity of people like you all. And I know it's hard because you've got domestic things to work with, as well as the role you want to play in the right way for your geopolitics as well. I kind of get it. There are three things that I care about, Jenny. The first one is every country has to choose how much they can put into bilateral aid versus multilateral. Because you have to look after your own political interests as well. But because we have a AAA rating, even for IDA, we can get a 4x multiplier. For other parts of the bank, we can get a 10x from the private bond markets. So let's say you're putting £10 to work in aid. If you put 6 bilaterally and 4 through us, you could end up with the 6 you've got and the 4 multiplied to 16 equal to 22, meaning your pound's going much further, provided what you give us, we then use with you in a concerted way so that the bilateral effort you put in is paid back for you in terms of recognition, in terms of the appreciation of the countries who are getting that effort from us.
Yes.
So I think that's quite important. Otherwise, it goes into a dark hole.
Yes.
That's never a good thing.
No.
The second part of this is a lot of the things we are focused on connect back to the kinds of causes that you care about. Fragility, conflict, violence. Allowing for equal opportunities for people in the workplace and their growth, opportunities for women to get access to capital and equity. These are important issues for various reasons. I think one of them is that automatically, if the emerging markets were to get the right prosperity and growth, they create markets for the products, the technology, the IP of Western companies, and that's kind of great for our growth. But also, you reduce fragility, you reduce the issues of illegal migration, again, a challenge for the developed world. And therefore, the way you're thinking about this is the right way, which is, can we put this money to work with the multiplier, dedicated to both building markets for our products, but also building the opportunity for healthier jobs and healthier societies where people live so that we can all be better off together.
Yes.
And I think that's the way to think about it.
I think that's right. And I think one of the lessons of what's happening now, when you have what's happening in Iran and the region, is having an impact on everywhere on the planet. And I think the lesson that everyone now understands, some have known for a long time, but everybody now gets it, is that instability, conflict, these things have a price.
Indeed.
And if we allow countries to become unstable or fail to act when we can as quickly as we should, then we end up paying a lot more.
Yeah, and in fact, you may not see that at the moment of instability, but you will at some point in time.
Yeah.
I think the third thing that comes across very clearly is that there is just not enough money in public finances anywhere in the world, in the developed world or in the developing world, to provide for the opportunities for this demographic dividend that is coming through in every country.
Completely right.
In the emerging markets. So we have to get the private sector in the game. And one of the things we are trying to do really well is to ensure that we help reform business enabling environments in these countries in the right way, in a way that is appropriate for their circumstance. It could be entrepreneurs, it could be micro and small enterprises, it could be people trying to grow bigger, it could be large companies or global companies. It kind of depends where you are in your development cycle as a country.
Yes.
You know, Ethiopia and Somalia are very different from even Egypt and South Africa. So we've got to do this the right way. It's got to be calibrated, but definitely working on business enabling environments to enable the private sector to grow and generate jobs. It's the private sector that creates the majority of jobs.
Yes.
We've got to make that virtual cycle work well.